Hello there. I told you I'd be back today. We're going to call this when I do these late afternoon deals here on the Bernie Show on my YouTube channel. So we're going to call it the Happy Hour edition, something like that. So before I do that, I never explained the Navy hat. So I like to wear this one a lot. I grew up near Annapolis. I'm a huge Navy football fan. Always have been, always will be. And in high school, hung out a lot with academy kids. I had a girlfriend whose father was an admiral, that kind of thing, but also just loved Roger Staubach and his Naval Academy history, things of that nature. So anyway, I had a good childhood friend who was a starting goaltender um, for the Navy lacrosse team. And unfortunately, tragically, he was a really terrific fighter pilot. And he lost his life in doing maneuvers the first Gulf War. And I don't mean to bring you all down. I'm just trying to explain my allegiance to the Naval Academy. I tell you another reason why I like the Naval Academy, specifically at this moment, is when I didn't make any plays. I forgot to do a video, but having technical issues, couldn't make a video Friday with some of the picks I like. And it's a shame because wouldn't you know it, the one week I don't make a video, I actually had a good week. And my favorite thing of the week, and it had nothing to do with the fact that I'm a Navy fan, but Navy's playing really well. And they have a new offensive coordinator and the offense is back. And when I saw that point spread, they were getting 9.5 at home against Memphis State or Memphis University. Sorry, old habits. I was kind of like, oh, so they're giving money away, are they? Wow. Okay. Can I take out a credit line for about $1 million? No, not that much, but I was able to legally get some cash money down, and that worked out pretty well as Navy won outright. All right. Here's the topic of today's happy hour video. Skip Schumaker. All eyes on Skip Schumaker. I have a working theory. I have an operating theory. If the Cardinals are going to make a move with their manager, Oli Marmol, if they're going to say, thank you, but we need to start fresh, it's going to be part of the changes. We just think we have to reset. All right. I think that'd be a popular decision with most of you. I have no way to do a scientific poll on this, but we all know about the sentiment with Mozeliak, Marmol, the fact that they're so closely aligned that even if Marmol was doing such, oh man, what a great job he's doing. Even if people thought that, still wouldn't like him because of, I call it the Mozeliak taint, right? He's just got that taint on him. Sometimes life ain't fair, but as I mentioned in another video previously on this, he wouldn't have gotten the job. And I like Oli, but he would not have gotten the job had it not been for Mo getting into a dust up with Schilt and firing Schilt. And no one else would have given Oli Marmol a job either. So life in the big leagues, man. No one said it's ever going to go your way or it's always fair and just and righteous. Dog eat dog, man. That gets me to the all eyes on Skip Schumaker. Here's why. Let's just say, and it's not like exactly some crazy thought. Let's just say the Cardinals really like the idea of Skip Schumaker managing their baseball team for obvious reasons. There is such a strong connection. He was a part-time player, the 2006 World Champion Cardinals, 2009, 2011, 2012. Those were his prime seasons where the team made the postseason. He had a huge hit off Roy Halladay in that classic, NLDS Game 5 in 2011. So he's got 2 World Series rings with the Cardinals, one of Tony La Russa's all-time favorite players. Here's a guy that he would be the first to tell you had fairly limited ability, but it was like 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row, he hit over 300. Everybody in that team respected him, loved him, admired him. La Russa looks at him as if he's like a son or something, and that's always a powerful endorsement. Skip Schumaker was a manager of the year in 2023, and then something really weird happened, had nothing to do with him. The general manager who fired him got just got a raw deal because they didn't offer her a contract extension because a new guy was about to take over as president of baseball operation, and he wanted to bring in, he wanted to kind of like eventually bring in his own administration. So Skip Schumaker did have a contract for this year, but the Marlins said, no, we're not going to pick that up for 2025. So here's a guy that, against all odds, takes the Marlins to the playoffs his first season, and basically goes into 24 as the manager of the year, reigning manager of the year. He goes into 2024, and he's basically, already packing to leave because he knew that the vibe was so bad. And of course, they didn't pick up his option. I mean, what a dysfunctional mess and an embarrassment of a franchise the Miami Marlins are. Anyway, here's my working theory. Skip Schumaker's a damn good manager, okay? You don't win manager of the year. You don't get a dog team like the Marlins in the playoffs unless you know what you're doing. He's also 44 years old, perfect age. Part of the old school, that old school La Russa way, blood and guts fight. We're going to play hard. Hey, we're not going to tolerate that here. You got to run that ball out, that kind of stuff. There's a right way to do things. He believes in that, but he's young enough to also understand the value of analytics. I'm sorry. I know that's a dirty word in our town. I'm sorry. Let me wash my mouth out. Okay, soap here. But he's able. I like managers who are able to exist and function well in both worlds, because you have the old schoolers who just, it's like, no, this analytics, this is all, it's human beings, and yet they're the first people that want an advantage that they can find in numbers, but they hate the fact that there's all these fancy terms. So they hate this stuff, and that's all there is to it. If you're a manager and you're smart and you want to win, why wouldn't you want to implement all the valuable information that's available to you that would help you gain an advantage tactically, or filling out a lineup card? Why would you be so stubbornly stupid as to foreclose on an avenue to have information that can help your team? See, Skip Schumaker's not like that. I consider him kind of an old schooler at heart by the way he played, his intelligence, his feel for the game, his aptitude for the game, his instincts, really good leadership skills, even though he was not like a star player per se on a team that had a bunch of stars. Skip was as good as a leader as anybody. And he learned from the best. He learned from TLR. And so let's just say the Cardinals say, you know what, if we were to make a change, not that we really are looking to, and Oli probably doesn't deserve to get sacked, but if Skip Schumaker's available, and we know there are other teams that want to hire him, well, it's kind of a now or never situation. You either make your move to get the guy you really like, you really want, someone who checks all the boxes, or you stay another year with Oli Marmol, who you might end up replacing after 2025 anyway. And meanwhile, Skip Schumaker's managing somewhere else. It could be in the division. The Cincinnati Reds are after him. If the Pittsburgh Pirates fire their manager, Shelton, they'll be pursuing Skip Schumaker. We know the White Sox, because Tony La Russa is an advisor there. We know he's pumping up Jerry Reinsdorf big time. This is your guy. You got to go hire Skip Schumaker. So that's 2 or 3 teams we know are going to make a run. You got the Rockies probably going to sack Bud Black, who's been there for 72 years, I think. John Schneider in Toronto is certainly a hot seat guy. What about if Aaron Boone flops again as the Yankees manager in the postseason? How many chances does he get with that massive payroll, right? What if Dave Roberts of the Dodgers flops again in the postseason? And Dodgers fans, Dave Roberts gets on their nerves. A lot of tactical decisions they just go nuts over. And at some point, he really does have to do better in the postseason. I know they won it in the 2020 COVID season, but I'm talking about normal times. I tell you, another guy, underrated, hot seat guy, Brandon Hyde of the Orioles, because they really had a they had a bad stretch where they should have won that division and a lot of things went wrong. And if they get booted out of the postseason again quickly, I wouldn't rule that one out. There's other jobs out there, but you get my drift. Skip Schumaker is going to be high on the list of a lot. Whoever's looking for a manager is going to be high on the list. So if you're the Cardinals and you believe that this guy is just what we're looking for, but we have a manager right now. Well, if this is your time to get him, and it would coincide with Chaim Bloom coming in, either to take everything over or to take everything over a year from now. And believe me, Chaim Bloom's familiar with Skip Schumaker. It would be a situation. Well, the time is now. The time is now to make your move. Again, it's kind of the laws of the baseball jungle, man. That's just the way it goes. Because if you don't, you're going to lose him to someone else. And maybe he'll even beat you managing a team in the NL Central. He was one of my favorite players to cover. I know that's neither here nor there, but there's always guys in a clubhouse. If you want to get an honest answer and you also want to get a really intelligent answer and someone who had a great feel for the team and what they were going through and could explain it without spitting out a bunch of cliches, but without breaking any confidences, honorable guy, ethical guy. Skip Schumaker was always someone I went to in those times because I knew I would get a thoughtful, direct answer and that he had a great mind for the game. And I saw the way his teammates looked up to him, even though, again, as I said, in a team that had some future Hall of Famers and everything else, man, he was right up there with anybody as far as, commanding respect in that clubhouse. He's also had some good training. He was San Diego's first base coach. Then he worked in the front office as an assistant for player development. That's a big deal with Chaim Bloom, as you know, understanding player development, understanding the minor leagues, how to run things. He also worked in San Diego's baseball operations department. When they promoted him to the coaching staff, his roles included outfield instruction and base running. And he just really paid all his dues in a coaching level by doing a little bit of everything. And he certainly became very acquainted with advanced metrics and how you can use them as tools to make your team better. And yeah, you can. He was Oli Marmol's bench coach in 2022. I think back on opening day this year, the Marlins were in town, and during the player introductions, manager introductions, whatever, with my ears, Skip Schumaker got the loudest ovation in the pregame, and that includes Cardinals, right? So you would hire him because, again, manager of the year in 2023, universally respected in the game, really, really smart, can operate in both worlds, old school and, the new way. He's fluent in both. And he's popular with the fans. Now, you wouldn't hire him just because he was popular with the fans, but that is a heck of a bonus if you decide, listen, we got to go get him because if we don't get him, someone else will. So one of the things I saw, I was looking at some stuff, some of the Marlins players like Josh Bell in 2023, talking about Skip Schumaker. I'm going to tell you a couple things he said. His manager, Skip Schumaker, he said, one thing about him that we all picked up on, man, and this is something I alluded to, so sorry for the redundancy, but Josh Bell was saying, man, Skip's got a knack. He can kind of blend that old school thinking, but he's sharp on the analytics and that combination, that feel for the game in the old school stuff and the new stuff really gave him a lot of respect in the clubhouse because he wasn't set in his ways. It was one way and that's it. He was a thinker and he was someone that wanted all the information he could get, but he also wouldn't put up with guys not hustling or guys not doing what they're supposed to do or guys not giving a maximum effort. He could pull a TLR on those players, bring him into the office and just say, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. If I ever see you loaf down to first base again, we're going to have some problems. We don't do that. So he's got that touch to handle players and to command their respect, even if he jumps on them for something, as he should. some of the testimonials, and so, we had Josh Bell. He also said Skip's attention to detail stood out to me. I can say that across from the dugout, across the field, playing against them before I got here, meaning Miami, the attention to detail, how that team took the field, how they were running each play out. There's just a right way to play the game. There's a right mentality, and it starts with him taking first to third as a runner, grinding out at bats, that tough mentality. Definitely you see that with him. Then you go to some of the people that knew him well in St. Louis, or somebody that when he was the bench coach in 2022, Nolan Arenado said, as a player, Skip was a starter, he was a role player, and he knows every single role very well. And others have pointed out, listen, man, he was an outfielder, but then the Cardinals needed him to play second base, and he spent all winter working on how to become a second baseman, and he actually did a good job. That kind of thing commands respect. Doing something for the team, even if it means you got to work all off season, but probably not have much free time because you're learning a new position for the betterment of the team. Matt Holliday said, quote, Skip's got an incredible way of interacting with players. He has the ability to have fun, but also it's a really serious competitive side to him. He demands excellence, and he has a presence about him. Presence is important. Adam Wainwright said when he was asked about Schumaker, I don't know how long ago this was, and I apologize. It's within the last couple of years. He said, he's just a baseball guy. He understands the old school ways, but he fully embraces the new school information in his game planning because he wants to get an edge. And then Mark McGwire, teammates, coaching mates. Let me dial that back. Big Mac was the hitting coach late in Skip Schumaker's career in St. Louis. Okay, now I got that straight. Mark McGwire says, quote, and they've known each other a long time, quote, he knows what it takes to be successful. He was a player that was so well respected, and even more as a coach. He has a high baseball IQ. He will bring a fantastic culture to Miami, and no question, he will have a huge impact right away. Big Mac knew what he was talking about because Skip takes him to the playoffs and wins Manager of the Year right away. So I'm not sitting here saying like, well, if I could pick anybody, this would be the guy for sure. Even the Cardinals would have a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of merit in if if a guy like Terry Francona wants to take their job, things of that nature. I believe if Pujols wants to manage in the big leagues, you don't want him to go somewhere else to manage because I think he'll be a great manager. I really do. There's so many names, and I don't want to keep talking about different names. My point, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have had meetings kind of on the QT, kind of, hey, hush, hush, we're going to have some meetings. Who would be a guy we would really want if we're going to make a change? Who would be that guy? And if the strong consensus, all the people that are going to be in on this decision, if the strong consensus, is Skip Schumaker, well, you're going to have to act because he's going to be gone. He's gone if you don't. And that's my operating theory. Hardly a brilliant revelation, but if you love the idea of this guy being your manager, it's going to have to be now. Well, not this week. It's going to have to be now for 2025, or else you could lose him. And then you're going to be shaking your head and regretting the fact that you didn't act sooner. Just a thought. Tell me what you think. I love your comments. I appreciate every single one of them. Even if we disagree, even if you give me a little bit of a hard time, that's good. I need to be challenged so I don't get smug. I need to get slapped a little bit, right? That's all right. I just enjoy interacting with you, and I enjoy the fact that all of you are so supportive of the Bernie Miklasz Show channel here on YouTube. So thanks again. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more on the Bernie Show.